Hello friends, let's remember 30 years later the most interesting facts about the main Mercedes-Benz of the 1990s. In the early 1980s, Mercedes-Benz looked a bit like Hercules, who had already accomplished all 12 feats. Or Alexander the Great, before whom there are no more countries and continents that have not been conquered. In terms of feeling its own exclusivity, the German brand at that time was not inferior even to Rolls-Royce. For the British, the overwhelming pathos was held only on the foundation of historical greatness, but Mercedes-Benz really turned everything it touched into gold. And in Stuttgart, they did not believe that the brand had real competitors. Who can be considered a worthy opponent there at all? Not the Jaguar, which was sinking under the weight of quality problems and trade union wars. And certainly not Audi, in the prospects of which Mercedes themselves were disappointed 20 years earlier, pushing an unnecessary asset to Volkswagen. Even BMW, the best and most dangerous of the pursuers, was treated more lightly by Mercedes-Benz bosses than really. Let's start with the fact that the car was developed for 8 years. Yes, 8. Usually such shock rates are characteristic of the sluggish automotive industry of the Soviet Union, but in this case the Germans were able to. Work on the car began in 1983, and the finished 600th was revealed to the world in March 1991 at the Salon in Geneva. However, according to the original plan, the car was supposed to debut 2 years earlier. But the entry into the market of very cool competitors BMW 7 Series E32 and Lexus LS 400 forced Mercedes-Benz to send the car for revision. But it is thanks to this that the W140 became worthy of the title. The most perfect car in the world. In any case, in the early 90s, he was like that. 140th struck absolutely everything, both brutal design and driving habits and the cosmic level of equipment. On the W140, double-side windows appeared, which provided fantastic silence in the cabin, and fashionable door closers. The heat accumulator continued to warm the interior for 20 minutes even after the engine was turned off, and the liquid in the washer tank was heated so that no frost caught the owner by surprise. Not all the chips turned out to be really useful, but you can't refuse the efforts of Mercedes-Benz engineers. Many are sure that the W140 is the first Mercedes-Benz, which was produced only with an automatic transmission. In fact, this is not the case. The top-end versions with V8 and V12 engines were indeed fully equipped with automatic transmission, but the basic 280s and 320s could be obtained with a manual transmission if desired. Another thing is that there were few willing. The strange appearance of the car is not for nothing. The W140 forms instantly highlighted in the stream. By the way, there is a real calculation behind the immodest dimensions. During the development of the W140, the chief engineer of the project, Wolfgang Peter, insisted that people of absolutely any height should be comfortable behind the wheel and on the couch. Checking the work of subordinates, Peter himself often sat in a full-size mock-up of the car. It was difficult to please the boss, who had grown almost 2 meters tall. But the Germans, as you can see, coped. He had a small trunk. It really is. With a huge cabin for 5 adult Michael Jordans, the hold of the 140th was inferior even to the Skoda Octavia. The trunk volume of the most perfect car of the 90s was only 505 liters. It could be even more powerful. There were many different rumors about the 140th. They say that the car was not painted in bright colors at the factory, only black and silver. False. There were, for example, cherry colors. Others argued that in reverse he could reach speeds of 100 km per hour or more, unprovable and, in general, meaningless. Finally, it was whispered that Mercedes-Benz planned to release a model with a 16-cylinder engine. And this is the absolute truth. A gigantic engine with a volume of 8 liters was developed and even put on test versions of the W140. But the project, for various reasons, primarily environmental, was not given the green light. Like other versions of the S-Class, the armored W140 served government garages around the world. And the Prime Minister of Georgia Eduard Shevardnadze once even saved the life of German steel. Look what happened to the car after a direct hit from a grenade launcher. And not a scratch on the passengers. The 140th did not meet the expectations of the creators. Surprisingly, it is. It took so much time, effort and money to build the best Mercedes in the world that the project did not pay for itself in the end. Due to the multiple exceeding of the estimate, the price of the car for customers increased by 25% compared to the previous S-Class. This determined the limited popularity of the model. Well, when the Greens turned on him, accusing the car of excessive gluttony, it became very bad. As a result, the circulation of the W140 turned out to be half that of the previous one in the 126th body. Wolfgang Peter, who created the best car in the world in the 1990s, was banally fired. But other changes turned out to be more ambitious. It was the situation with the S-Class that led to a change in all Stuttgart priorities. This is noticeable. No subsequent Mercedes-Benz model is similar to the 140th.